Good afternoon, students. So our topic today, right, is all principle of occupational health and safety. And today we're focusing on two things. Right, so our objectives would be general safety requirements and demands on the employee onto the employer, employer onto the employee. And secondly, they need to follow the local safety rules. So I'll give you guys a handout here, which you will look at. So from the handout, you can follow the board, or you can follow the handout. So before we get into the lesson, I just want you guys to answer your names. Alonso, Dimitri, Danny,
Present.
Donnie, Iran, Javier, Jamal, Joshua, Jordan, Xavier, Sharissa, Arnold, Kevon, Simon, Ravindra, Ms. Moyen. So I want you guys, I have a poster here, right? I want you to look at it, right? Think about some of the responsibilities, right, you have in the work environment, right, as a worker. And similarly, as students attending ETI, right, you guys have a rule book, right? Where you have your responsibilities and guidelines there that you follow, right? Now like that, in the work environment, we're going to work with a company or agency, right? There are rules set out, right, that you must follow, or guidelines. Now this area is mainly related to health and safety, right? The way how you go about working in the environment to protect yourself or others. Alright? So look at this here. I think there are some responsibilities here, about 6 or 7, right, to give you an idea. Look at it. And then you tell me your opinion, right? What you believe are responsibilities. Or at least this one. Alright, so apart from the poster here, let me show you guys a video so you have an understanding as well. So look at this here for me.
Safe work practices and procedures. Strategies to follow to keep workers safe. Safe work practices and procedures need to be in place for every specific organisation in order to ensure that workers are safe within different work environments when completing their duties. Common areas pertaining to businesses within the ICT industry where policies and practices would need to be established in order to foster safe working environments would include the following areas. So we're going to have a look at a number of different categories of specific types of hazards or things we need to be aware of in order to ensure that our work environments are safe. So the first one is that of electrical safety. Electricity is extremely volatile with the potential to cause death in situations where the workers are either not aware, trained, or are handling electrically hazardous equipment within certain areas. Safe work practices related to electricity include general electrical safety, cabling, leads, and tagging. So they are all procedures there that can be done in order to ensure that the electrical hazard can be maintained if we monitor those areas of electrical safety, cabling, leads, and tagging. So you see this in all the actual areas that pop up. The words written in blue are one of our strategies for addressing these areas. The next area is that of ergonomics. Ergonomics refers to the relationship between humans and their working environments. Its aim is to ensure that the environments people work in are safe from both short-term and long-term risks to their health. Practices include adjustable furniture, the correct placement of equipment, posture, and exercise. And there's also a whole number of other range of certain strategies you can use to ensure that people, when working environments are ergonomically sound and safe within their working areas. The third area is that of manual handling, which relates to the movement of objects of varying weights. Workers need to be trained in manual handling techniques for scenarios when working either individually, in pairs or in a team, as well as understanding legal weight limits they should be lifting. And they can also use specific equipment for lifting heavier objects such as trolleys, pallet jacks or even forklifts, depending on the weight of what needs to be lifted. Next we have tools and equipment. Workers need to have an understanding of their selection of appropriate equipment and tools specific to their job task, and they need to be trained in how to use this equipment correctly and maintain that equipment so that it stays safe. Some of the equipment becomes unsafe if we don't maintain it and attend to it regularly, and that can lead to a hazard or injury occurring. Workers also need to have strategies for the safe obtaining and disposal of equipment and products, as well as clean-up procedures. So basically, when they finish doing a working task, and specifically if they're doing a task off-site or within someone else's workplace, they need to ensure that they clean up so that that environment goes back to a safe situation after their work is completed. Next, we have lighting, and this is the correct placement and use of both natural and artificial lighting in relation to working environments. Lighting needs to allow workers to clearly see what they're doing, while also being not overpowering or creating glare. So within rooms, we often have artificial lighting coming down from the roof where the lights hang, and then natural lighting coming in from the windows. Within the IT environment, we traditionally have natural lighting coming in from the sides of the room. As if it's at the front or back of the room, it will create glare or shadowing within the room. Okay, and also and that ultimately will lead to strain coming to people's eyes. But we do want that combination happening within working environments. The final area is that of ventilation. Ventilation refers to airflow within the working environment. It can be controlled through windows, vents, as well as the use of air conditioning units. And obviously with COVID-19 spreading throughout the world, it's so important that we have good ventilation in the room to minimise the transmission of the virus. So along with these things we can do to ensure ventilation blows through the room, okay, we have good airflow. We can also have things such as air purifiers as well going on in order to make sure that the air is as clean as possible in the room and not spreading any diseases from the environment. So I hope this video has given you an understanding of the importance of safe work practices and procedures.
Okay, so there you have a short video, right? It basically gives you a better understanding, right, of what we are actually looking at. We're talking about the worker's responsibility, right, in terms of health and safety. Now, we know that we're looking here at electrical safety. We have about 6 categories of safety that we're looking at. One will be electrical safety, manual handling, lighting, ergonomics, tools and equipment, and ventilation. Right? Now, whether full or part of it is a voltage may be applied to it or any instant electrical hazard, unlike mechanical hazard, are not usually obvious. A live conductor, for example, does not differ from a dead one. Right? Are you following? So when you're saying a live conductor, right, is not much difference than the one which does not have electricity. Right? Now, electrical hazard also depend on the environmental conditions. Now that will be whether it's rainy or sunny, right? In our case. And the risk of electrical accident is high, but if the floor happens to be conducting material or is wet. Now, electrical installation deteriorates with age, and its capacity to resist the passage of current decreases in most heating environments. So what I'm saying here is that because of the weather conditions, right, like the electrical cable, if it's out there exposed to the heat, right, it will become damaged over a period of time. That's what I'm saying. Right?
Catch a fire or
Well, yes. Well, in a sense, remember the cable, it will deteriorate, right? It will start to rot or decay. The installation started to decay from the top. And once those cable are exposed, it may be the cable set only, right, remaining there for a period of time. So once they touch each other, right, we know that we have in there two different conductors, right? Two cables, but one is alive and one is a neutral. So if they get in contact with each other, we get a big spark here, right? You can even cause the cable to board. The installation of when you need installation to board off, it could cause sparks, it could trip the fuse, it may even lead to a fire. Right? Depends on the extent of how it's damaged. Right? Even to too much exposure to the rain, right? And then you get up the sun, the cable start to what we call it, dry rot, we call it the term.
When the wire fell inside,
Yeah.
because
You get a kind of powder and the outside as well too. Good. Now, portable electrical equipment and hand tools are often cause of serious accident in electrical installations. Now, accident may be caused by defects in plug, socket, or flexible cable. Now, these are some examples, right? So the plugs go bad, maybe a socket go bad, when you talk about socket, you talk about the outlet, where you plug in, right? Or into the card that you're extending. Sometimes maybe you get hooked on an object, it gets clear, and the wires are exposed. Now when that happens, someone may be using that equipment, right, or those power tools, and they didn't inspect that tool, right, before they go operate it. And once they get into contact with that needle, maybe they go to their hand or so, they're not using the glove, they could be electrocuted or receive a shock. Now, a detached live wire can make contact with the frame of the hand tool. The sparking commuter motors of hand tools can ignite flammable, right, atmosphere, and so on. So the fact that hand tools are normally held tight when used, so you make sure to release them more difficult in an event of electrical shock. Now what happens is that when you become in your hands, become in contact with a live conductor, let's say the inner part, right? Your finger tends to close in, right? Your reflexes tends to close in. So holding that there to get off your hand from the conductor, right? Might be a bit tough, right? And then we know that we cannot go and just hold somebody and push them or move them away, right? Or that person becomes a conductor, and we gotta get some insulating material to get them get that cable or get them off the cable. Separate them, right? And we know that when you use hand tools, especially portable tools, those things come at high speed, right? High RPM. So when you hold them, most of us, we gotta hold them tight, and we gotta take a good standing position to operate them, right? So part of it is also saying that when you hold it, right, you gotta make sure that you inspect your tool, because sometimes you hold it, and there's some defect on it, and you can injure yourself, right? So, despite procedural and safety measures, accidents do happen. Injuries often occur at work places during the operation, right? Repair and maintenance of machinery. So, they're saying that injuries, right, happens frequently or often in the workshop or the work environment. And this happens mainly during your working time, right, while it's operating, or maybe when you're repairing any equipment, or maybe a machine, right, when you carry out maintenance. So, to those who are unskilled and inexperienced, electrical work, electricity is a serious threat, right, of potential danger. However, skilled electricians also receive injuries, some of which may be due to carelessness or tiredness, right, or working system, or you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Now, the causes of electrical accidents are many and diverse, and some accidents are due to technological and mechanical failures or defect, whilst others may be due to unsafe behavior or mistake made by worker. So, if you follow any notes here, I think we're at the second page. I think we're at the second page, right? If you follow from here. So the flow of current to ground builds up a potential in the rod and the part surrounding it, and the voltage gradient at that surface of the ground surrounding the electrode may constitute or hidden danger. Anyone who touches the equipment which has faulted would expose to what is called contact voltage. As shown in diagram 1, well, we don't have it here. Contact voltage is equal to the difference between the potential at the casing of a faulty equipment and the potential at the point on the ground surface where the person is standing. So what I'm trying to explain here is that, let's say so I'm standing here, right? And there's an outlet behind here, or let's say outlet is here, and go and hold it, right? Where there's an exposed conductor here. So the current flowing from that outlet, right, will flow through my body, right, and go straight down to the earth, right? At that part here now goes onto the earth and it travels back, right, to the transformer, right? That 3 class supply power, there's a earth ground here, it flows back here. And you have a complete circuit until you are detached, right, or removed from there, right? The current will not stop flow, right? So you become part of the circuit.
Become like a wire.
Yes, like a conductor then, like a key. Not a wire, but a conductor, right? It's another way of getting an idea what you're talking about. So, contact voltage is equal to the difference between the potential at the casing of the faulty equipment and the potential at the point of ground surface where the person is standing. So, I just explained that there, right? So if a person happens to be walking in the vicinity of electrode, where you actually operate the equipment as well, right? And it's sort of as a notice, right, or a guide, so you can see where you're going in for the workshop and where you're coming out. So the line guides you here at the bottom, and even there's some arrows there as well. But the use of appropriate with the tapes is also a popular training medium, right, or method. A new employee to a job, particularly electrical, is vulnerable to accidents, and therefore a safety instructor program for the industry undertaking should provide. So they say that for new workers or new employee, electrical employee, right, starting a job, right, you should have some sort of guidance, right, with the use, right, or instructions, right, in the form of a video, right. You give me a form of a video, you give me a form of a booklet, and so, right. Yeah, you can have poster, but in this case, a booklet will be better or a video. Now, these are some things which you can go through, right? I think there's about 3 there. Let's see, that looks good, let's see. Alright, so we have like 9, right? Things that we must do in the work environment. And that is to pay attention and obey the supervisor instruction, right? In this case, this may be your teacher or your instructor or your lecturer. You're going to do the job the way, right, you're instructed to do it. Secondly, thirdly, you're going to dress suitable for the work. If he has been given special clothing, such as, or if he or she has been given special clothing, such as a hard hat, ear plug, right, and so forth. Well, we're talking about PPEs, right? You must wear them. Of course, not protective equipment, right? Right? You must wear those things. Keep his work here clean and tidy and gangways. Now remember when we talk about housekeeping duties, right? That's a fact of a way of cleaning your work area, right? And keeping away the areas clean. So, report all accident or hazard of which the employer may be unaware. So, in this case, if you recognize any hazard within the workshop or a classroom or a campus, right, you report it. To who? The lecturer or a teacher, right? And if they're not there, you're going to go to the technician, right? Report to the technician, right? So, do not tamper with safety devices. Alright? When we talk about safety devices, we talk about things like guardrail, right? We talk about guards, like the drill press, there's a guard around it, right? This protects you from having your hands touching that drill bit, right? Getting entangled with it. The simulators, we're talking about the guardrail there, the guard, where they have the belt and the toe and the compressor, right? You remember that, right? The belt and the compressor. So those things are there in place, right? To protect you from getting entangled with it once the machinery starts to operate. You don't want to go and put your hands near the belt, put your finger next to the pulley and take off the skin or smash it, right? It can be motivated. Yes, right. A good example is right now, yes. So So the power tools, they are grinder. Remember, those guards are there, right, to protect you in case the disc rupture, right? They wouldn't get in contact with your body, right? The use of correct tools for the job. Now, when we use of correct tools, we're talking about things like we're having a flat screwdriver, right? You got slot or flat. You know, sometimes the guys then would take the screwdriver and then they got a piece of wood, or you go and chisel it with a screwdriver flat, you got a tip flat. But that's not the right thing to do, right? You gotta use a chisel to chisel wood, not the screwdriver. The screwdriver is turning the screw either clockwise or anti-clockwise, right? You tighten where it's flat and then it's flat, right? You don't use it for something else. You use it only what is made, right? Intentionally to be useful. Take proper care of tools and equipment entrusted. So remember, also when we are using tools in the environment or the workshop, right? Those tools we gotta ensure that we clean them, right? Return them, right? In their respective storage area, because we don't want to use them when they're untidy and when somebody else comes to use them, right? Sometimes they handle it dirty, or they might want to force the clothes, or the things getting into the drill as well, right? Or whatever machine you're operating, it may cause other effects to it, right? So we gotta ensure that we clean our tools, clean our equipment to ensure that it's working right efficiently. Right, Danny? So do we have any questions up to this one? So we're going to move on, right? So if employees fail to carry instructions to conform to procedures as laid down by management, meaning if you do not follow the rules, right, or guidelines set out by the institute, right, or let's say if you're working, right, you're not following the rules, right, you can have disciplinary measures, right, being taken against you. And disciplinary measures are usually agreed between management, right, and there's a trade union, right, who represent the employees, right, and vary for different offenses. Now, with a few expectations, a typical disciplinary measure for reclamation usually progress as follows. So what happens, like our organization, right, when you fail to follow the rule, right, what happens is that you are going to force offense, right, where they force on your supervisor, right, or the foreman, they can write you, right, give you a warning letter. The second offense is meaning the second time you do commit the same thing, right, you do not follow the rule again, you could be suspended from your job, right, and they will specify how long or so. And third offense, you get dismissed or not. Yes. Sometimes you get a third, the second one you get dismissed. All depends, right, on the nature of, right, or the thing that you do, right, all depends on the seriousness of it, right. So such measures are considered reasonable since the employee is usually held accountable when so you guys completed?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So who completed before? I guess it's not 15 minutes yet, but I have someone who finished. I can mark it in the meanwhile. If you have it, okay?